Hi there, and welcome back to another video. So in this video, I want to quickly go over how the PowerShell module I wrote for Chia actually works. And then in the next video, I'm going to quickly go over how to use this module to do different things. Now, this module uses the RPC interface of Chia, which is basically an API or a way to talk to the Chia application and run commands outside of the application. So right here it tells you right now, so RPC API server that allows you to access information and control the services of Chia. So Chia has different services, one for the harvester, farmer, full node, and wallet, and you can talk to each of these to give them commands to either get information or to say, like, let's say you want to delete a plot. You can send a command and it will delete a plot. Or if you want to add a plot directory, you can send a command to the harvester service to add a plot directory. Now, how does it do this? Well, it uses HTTP/JSON to send these RPC commands to Chia. Now, the examples that they give use curl. However, curl is not really native to Windows, and I kind of wanted to use a native PowerShell command like invoke REST method. However, invoke REST method doesn't have all the same parameters that curl does. So for instance, this has cert and key. So we need the cert and we need the key files to run these commands. However, invoke REST method only has a certificate parameter. So you need to combine these two into one certificate and then pass that to invoke REST method. Also, that invoke REST method does not have insecure parameter on the Windows version 5.1, so we need to work around for that. So that's why I'm making this video, to sort of explain why I'm doing everything I'm doing to get this to work in PowerShell. So let's first look at where these certs are located. So these are the certs to all your services. So for the harvester services, these are the files that you would pass to curl. So you can see that it's a cert file, CRT, and a key file. And then what I would have to do is combine these two files to make a PFX file and pass that to the invoke REST method. So let's first just go to the module and see what a basic command would look like. So if we do get Chia plot directory, we can see exactly how it works. So the first thing that happens is it specifies certain parameters to send to the RPC. So the command to send to the RPC is get plot directories. So this is the actual command that the RPC understands, and then parameters to go with this command. However, this command doesn't have any parameters, but you need to include this, and you need to include it as a JSON or it will fail. And now you have to specify which service this command will run under. So this particular command runs under the harvester service. And all this can be found on the RPC documentation. So it tells you which service has which commands. So if we run this command, so if we run get Chia plot directory, we can see that this grabs all the directories that it looks for Chia plots in on my full node, or for this harvester that's also my full node. But how does this work exactly? So it passes all of these parameters to a custom built function called invoke Chia RPC command. Now this is a command that I wrote that's a private function used by the module only. So if we go to this function, we can kind of break down what's happening here. So the first thing that we need to do is get the PFX cert, but I told you already that this cert doesn't automatically exist within the files that Chia provides. So you can see that there's no PFX file here, so we need to create one. So that's where this function comes in, so the new Chia PFX cert. So this is kind of a lot to go through, so this will probably be the bulk of the video right here, but real quick, what's happening here is it first got to create the certificate for the right service. So if you're running a harvester command, then you need the harvester cert. And then also you can run these commands on remote computers or remote harvesters, but by default it'll run it on the computer that you're running PowerShell on. and then it will use the default cert location on the computer. However, if you're importing certs from another computer, then you can specify that in another command. So in order to create these PFX files, it is kind of a pain. You need an executable called OpenSSL. However, this is not an easy install to do on Windows, but the easiest way to get it installed is actually to have another application called Git. And what Git is an open, a source control tool used by developers, programming developers, to track changes with their code. So OpenSSL is automatically installed when you install Git. So in order to use this module, you need to have Git installed for the sole purpose of using the OpenSSL executable. This is definitely the easiest way to get this executable. If you do find an easier way, please let me know, but this was by far the easiest way. So the first thing that it does is it tries to get this executable. Now, however, if you don't have Git installed, obviously this line right here will fail. So if this fails, it will output a error saying that you don't have Git installed and that you should install it. However, if it passes, then we keep going down. So if the next line is if you pass in a cert path directory, then it will make that the service path. However, if you don't, then it will use the default service path, which, let's say we're going to use the harvester command right here. So we can replace this with the word harvester, and then that will basically be the path to this folder right here, and it will grab these two files. Okay, so now that we have those two files, then we're going to create a new folder in your app data folder called PSChia to store these new PFX files. So this is just a location where a lot of applications will store files that they need to use for their programs under the user context, and this is exactly what we're doing here. So if it doesn't see this folder, it will automatically create one, and then if it doesn't find these two files in the default path, then it will error out saying that I couldn't find the cert and key file. However, if it does, it stores them into variables called cert and key. All right, so now that we have those cert and key files to work with, next we're going to create the PFX file. But first we're going to create a folder for this particular host. So in this case, it's the local host. So we're going to create a folder to store these cert files, these PFX cert files in. If it doesn't find that, then it creates a new one. And then it creates a new random password. So this just randomly generates numbers and letters and puts it in here. And then it converts this to a secure string, meaning basically it's not in plain text. And then it will encrypt this secure string so that you can't understand it unless you are the current user. And then once we have encrypted the secure string, we output it to a text file under this location right here, which is just the password to unlock our cert when we create it. So here we invoke the OpenSSL executable, and then we export it, and basically we take the key file that we got up here and the cert file, and then we include the random generated password right here, and then we store this into the same folder as the password that we created right here. So once we do that, we now have a PFX file. So now that we have a PFX file, we can get that PFX file. So let's go back to the invoke Chia RPC, and now the get Chia PFX cert will get the PFX file for the relevant service and for the relevant host name. Now once we do that, we need to get the right port. Now we could read the config file to get these port, however I just went with the default, as I don't know why anybody would change them, but if they do, then this obviously will not work. So once we have that, then we need to create parameters to use with invoke rest method. So the method is going to be post based on the documentation that they provided in the RPC wiki, and then the URL or the URI is going to be HTTPS, the host name. So this will be localhost in our case, the port number, which we grabbed right here. So if it's the harvester service, we're going to use port 8560, and then the command, which let's go back to the get Chia directories. So this is the command that we're going to use. So this is the command that the RPC of Chia understands. And so then the next thing is going to specify the content type. In this case, it's going to be JSON. And then these are the parameters that we would pass that are basically go along with the command. In our case, it's just blank parameters, but we have to include it. And then the certificate file that we went through all the trouble of creating. Now we take all these parameters and we use invoke rest method. So if invoke rest method fails, it will check to see if there's an error that says that it couldn't establish a trust relationship with a secure channel. Basically, since this is an insecure connection, it can't verify with a certificate authority that these certs, since these are probably self-signed, they're created by Chia. It's not like a website that you're going to that has registered with a certificate authority. So we need to make a exception for this and create an insecure session, which is essentially the same thing as what this parameter would do. But we just have to do this as a workaround, essentially. Now, this only gets ran once if it fails, and not again. So, and then it tries to run it again if it does fail. So yeah, that pretty much sums it up. If you have any questions about why I did certain things, just let me know. It has a lot of the commands. I haven't added all of them, mostly the transaction commands, because those haven't been fully documented. And it does work on remote machines. So if I do enter PSChia, Chia PS session, and I change the host name to a harvester I have, and now I do get Chia plot directory, well, I get the plot directories on this remote computer, this remote harvester that I have running. So, it is quite useful because you can, edit these if you need to. However, I haven't fully tested out both local and remote capabilities of all these RPC commands, but in this video, I just wanted to go over how this module works. If you want me to expand on some things I just touched upon in this video, just let me know in the comments and I can make a follow-up video. I just wanted to give an overview of the core aspects of this module, and look forward to making the next video where I show you some cool ways you can use the commands in this module. All right, bye.